Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to cut right through all that relentless market hype and take a really grounded, evidence-based look at how we actually define a financial bubble. We're stripping away all the emotion here to look strictly at historical tech precedents. Why? Well, because if we want to understand where massive tech investments might be leading us today, we've absolutely got to start by looking at exactly how these cycles have played out in the past. So let's kick things off with a bit of a paradigm-shifting question. When you hear the phrase tech bubble, or you think about a massive market crash, what's your immediate instinct? Do you automatically assume the underlying technology was just a complete fake, or maybe just a passing fad? It's super common to think that, but to truly understand the mechanics of major tech markets, we've got to totally dismantle that assumption. Okay, so what actually is a financial bubble? Well, it happens when asset prices, those massive capital allocations, become dramatically detached from underlying economic fundamentals. Now, notice what's missing there. It says absolutely nothing about the technology being fake. This detachment is really driven by herd behavior. It's this overwhelming belief that a transformative technology justifies pretty much any level of investment. So the crucial point here is that a bubble is fundamentally a psychological and financial phenomenon. It's what happens when the money being spent completely loses touch with actual near-term economic reality, simply because everyone else is throwing their cash at the exact same thing. To really wrap our heads around the mechanics of this, let's travel back to the period between 1995 and 2000. We like to call this the dot-com mirror. Honestly, this is the most direct historical analogy we have for understanding immense, wild market enthusiasm around a totally new technology. Think about it. People were literally quitting their day jobs just to day trade internet stocks right from their living rooms. The absolute frenzy surrounding the early internet provides us with a really sobering, perfectly mirrored template for evaluating how markets react to world-changing innovations. It's the ultimate case study in what happens when undeniable potential meets completely unrestrained capital. And just look at the sheer scale of the enthusiasm captured in this number, 400%. Between 1995 and 2000, the NASDAQ composite skyrocketed by about 400%. And this wasn't some steady, calculated climb either. It was an astronomical, almost vertical ascent fueled by this absolute, unshakable conviction that the internet was going to transform literally every single industry on the planet. Everyone saw the potential, everyone wanted a piece of the action, and the capital flowed in at a velocity that was just entirely unprecedented. But here is where the reality check hits, and man, it hits hard. $5 trillion. In March of 2000, that spectacular bubble burst, wiping out roughly $5 trillion in market value. It was a catastrophic financial event that absolutely devastated investment portfolios all over the world. That herd mentality that drove the market up by 400%, it suddenly reversed, and the capital just vanished. It creates this intense whiplash effect when you put these two numbers side by side. You've got the boundless optimism of the boom contrasted immediately by the brutal, unforgiving arithmetic of the bust. So let's resolve that initial misconception we discussed earlier and really break down what went wrong. On one hand, the belief was completely correct, right? The internet was genuinely transformative. It absolutely did change everything about how we live and work today. But on the flip side, the financial timing was deeply flawed. Investors basically assumed immediate monetization. The idea that all these internet companies were going to be wildly profitable overnight was, well, entirely wrong. Valuations were being based on a future that was still decades away. The result? You had these massive, potentially world-changing companies. Think of infamous examples like Webvan, attracting billions in investment without ever actually generating a single dollar of profit before they completely collapsed. Which brings us to the absolute anchor of this entire explainer. If you take away just one thing today, let it be this. A bubble does not require the underlying technology to be wrong. A bubble simply requires that the deployment of capital totally outpaces the capacity of the markets to actually absorb and monetize that technology in the near term. It's entirely an issue of speed in scale. The innovation itself can be brilliant. It can literally be the future of humanity. But if the money arrives 10 years before the viable business model does, you're still going to get a crash. And hey, this isn't just an internet phenomenon either. It's a repeating historical pattern. Take a look back at the massive railroad boom of the 19th century. Both the dot-com era and the railroads prove the exact same dynamic. Transformative technologies can simultaneously be genuinely historically important while still suffering from catastrophic financial overinvestment. The railroads fundamentally revolutionized human transport and commerce. They physically connected the world. Yet, because the capital deployment vastly outpaced the immediate economic returns, the initial investors in a lot of those massive infrastructure projects still lost absolutely everything. So this brings us to a really crucial pivot in how we need to evaluate information today. We have to actively reframe our narrative. Whenever you're looking at a massive new technological boom, if you find yourself asking, will this tech matter? You are actually asking the wrong question. You're getting caught up in the scientific awe and the futuristic potential of it all. To truly evaluate a market with clarity, you've got to strip away that awe and focus strictly on the economic mechanics. The right question, the only question that really matters for financial stability, is, are current investment levels sustainable? You've got to separate the cool engineering from the cold, hard economics. Which leads us perfectly to this final thought. As you look out at today's rapidly evolving tech landscape, armed with this historical context, the question you've got to constantly be asking yourself is this: are current investment levels sustainable given near-term revenue realities? And perhaps more importantly, what happens to the broader ecosystem if they aren't? History has clearly given us the template, showing us exactly how even the most successful, world-changing technologies can generate brutal financial corrections. Now, it's up to us to interrogate today's markets with a clear, objective eye. Thanks so much for joining this explainer. Keep learning and keep asking the right questions.